now is love. A whole lot of love. Together we can make a difference. I spend my time trying to make the world a better place. Feeling trapped in the rat race. People walk around every day with same face. I spend my time trying to make the world a better place. Feeling trapped in the rat race. People walk around every day with same face. Life is the best teacher. Compassion is the best feature. Some got it all wrong. The love is weak, the hate is strong. I ain't trying to throw shade. I hope my words resonate. You say you wanna make it great, I agree. But first, let's stop the hate. Consider this an all call. Let's build bridges instead of walls. Why can't we all just get along? One nation in harmony, like a song. Before it all escalates. Stop the hate before it's too late. You can be what you wanna be, or be the change that you wanna see. I spend my time trying to make the world a better place. Feeling trapped in the rat race. People walk around every day with the same face. I spend my time trying to make the world a better place. Feeling trapped in the rat race. People walk around every day with the same face. Life's so hard sometimes, makes you wanna quit. You go around with a frown like you smell shit. Can't enjoy the finer things in life without friction, conflict, or strife. The air we breathe is full of animosity. The world needs more love and positivity. What I say is true. Stop the hate before the hate consumes you. Take the hand of a brother and raise up another. Stand up for your sister, stop fighting each other. So listen up, listen up. Come on, listen up, listen up. Take the hand of a brother and raise up one another. Stand up for your sisters, and maybe we can learn to start loving each other more. I spend my time trying to make the world a better place. Feeling trapped in the rat race. People walk around every day with the same face. I spend my time trying to make the world a better place. Feeling trapped in the rat race. People walk around every day with the same face. Spend my time trying to make the world a better place. Feeling trapped in the rat race. People walk around every day with the same face. Spend my time trying to make the world a better place. Feeling trapped in the rat race. Walking around every day with the same face.
Welcome back to the sessions. Today I have my longtime friend, old mentor, basketball coach, Norm Berry, also known as Chili B. Thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Arsenio. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I was just talking with your son a couple days ago. And,
Stretch. Don't stretch. One
yeah,
of your basketball teammates.
absolutely, man.
Back in your heyday.
Yeah, it's crazy how much time has passed since then.
Yeah, man.
Time just keeps going.
Yeah.
How you been?
I've been great, man. Thanks for asking. I'm, hanging in there, surviving this, I call it the zombie apocalypse. It's the drill. So, yeah, I'm hanging in there, doing well. How about yourself, man?
I've been hanging in there. I've been, it shut down my tattooing, so I had to kind of pivot and adapt. So it's actually been a blessing in disguise. It's helped me get like this going again.
Right.
And also my art. I've been really just pushing with my artwork.
Nice.
With that.
Yeah, you do great work, man, which reminds me, before I forget, I want to ask you, I'm looking for some artwork that could possibly be a T-shirt, but maybe cover art for this new dance project I got. It's kind of dance / maybe EDM and borders like EDM, not really techno, but it's just some high energy vibes. The song is called Crank It Up. And
I listened to that.
Yeah, I want something that's related to cranking it up, just some images like that. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything you need. I'm down to help you out.
Right though, this time that we're going through right now, it's an eye opener really to a lot of people. and it also it allows other people to be creative, to find creative outlets. It's challenged us to find creative outlets for our talent, our expression, and just in living in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Zoom is a great way. There's so many other platforms out there, but there's artists out there that are actually doing live concerts via Zoom or some of the other networks like that. For me, what it's done for me was it allowed me to be in the studio more, because I have the studio here, and I've been hit or miss in and out the studio. Other times when I go weeks, sometimes a month without coming in. But having the shelter in place, I found myself in the lab almost daily, and creating some cool stuff, things from funk to pop to EDM, a couple of reggae inspired things, and then just my style of music, of what I perform to. Just been doing a lot of different stuff and collaborating with some other artists right now. So that's the brighter side of it, if there's such a thing for it. But as far as sheltering in place, that's kind of how I live my life. So it was just real before. I'm not in traffic. I'm not out there, so to speak. I'm either on the road, if I don't have events or performing on the road somewhere, or I'm not somewhere working, making money, I'm at home anyway. And so the shelter in place thing is not much of a change for me, but I know it's difficult emotionally and mentally for a lot of people. And as they say that the suicide rate has went up for people that are feeling forced to shelter in place and not having outlets and different things. And that's why it's really good to exercise our mind as much as possible and try to find those creative outlets that we can express ourselves and don't internalize it so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Touch on a good point there. Like, I feel like this has shown how much people rely on their job for an identity. And like, once that's taken away from them, they don't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Wow.
It's just true.
I've definitely enjoyed seeing how the creative community has kind of really adapted to this. And like you were saying, there's a lot of online concerts going. The artists that I know, we're all like, everyone's doing amazing stuff with their art. Like,
yeah.
Tip a beat.
Yeah, the DJs are mixing the stuff online. However, DJs and some artists have found it challenging because some of the platforms will cut them off. Mainly Facebook, that I hear the argument that Facebook has been shutting people down when they're doing live mixing. The DJs who are normally playing clubs and different places like this that are now closed down. So they're online mixing, doing mixes online, and they'll get into the mix and then just shut them down on Facebook because of copyright infringement issues. That I think some DJs are collaborating together. Organization was a petition that's being passed around called "Let the DJs Play." It was actually born by Alex Mejia and Davey D from Bay Area, legendary DJs and pioneers of the Bay Area scene, especially during the 90s. And so they had a petition going where they have thousands of signatures saying "Let the DJs play these songs," and to be able to provide an outlet for people when they feel like they're locked in their homes. They want to turn on their system and listen to a DJ mix it up. They don't need to be shut down. And so I advocate for these DJs as well to tell Facebook is to let the DJs do their thing. I have a friend of mine who's a performing artist who said that he was performing some cover songs. Was the problem when he started doing his original songs, they shut him down. So some mix up in the algorithms or whatever that made it seem it was a copyright infringement. But hey, that's kind of people trying to look out for the interests of the artist to a strict degree to where it's a fault actually that needs to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, more power, man, and more peace and love to all the artists that are using this medium to get their art out there and to keep their creativity flowing and sharing with the world. This has been amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That on the copyright, like I have mixed feelings about it. Like, I understand the copyrights, so protecting artists' property and stuff, but I also, on the other hand, realize how much me as an artist, I it's hard to say like I own everything that I do. Like, once I do it, I let it out there. I'm on the project. I'm not thinking about who's making money off of my work if someone else is out there. I think we've gotten out of control with copyright laws to the point where it's like it's holding up creative, power, I think.
Well, it's an important thing to have you know, you want to protect your intellectual properties. So it's at one hand, I mean, it's important to have. It's necessary, because if not, there'd be, you know, big corporations and people who don't have the creative ability to take a person that is very talented and completely exploit their work without even compensating them for it. You know, taking ownership of them. That's not cool. My thing was the song I was telling you. I did a new song. It's kind of a dance / EDM song. It's called "Crank It Up," and I produced this about 2 weeks ago. And I made a quick video and threw the video on YouTube, and I started sharing it on Facebook and Twitter. And within about 10 minutes on Facebook, I received a notification from Facebook saying that UMG, Universal Music Group, claimed that they owned about a minute and a half rights to the song, and that this video would not be accessible. And I think it was over 299 countries that my video would not reach, because UMG, Universal Music Group, claimed that they owned a minute and a half of the song. So I disputed it, and it took about 4 or 5 days. Then I received another notification saying that UMG released their claim on the video. I told them I produced this in my studio from scratch, all from my mind, using, you know, I'm using Logic Pro 10. So all the sounds that I'm using are user-free, you know, samples and sounds that I constructed a beat on, original. And once again, the algorithm or something kicked in and somebody claimed it. But now, had I not disputed it and had they not researched it, UMG would say they owned a song that I had just produced. So and these copyrights are important. I mean, since then I got it copyrighted and everything like that. So I'm legit making sure that nobody would try to take that. But copyrights is a touchy thing, but they're an important thing, especially for people like you and I who are creators, and we want to maintain the rights to our intellectual properties without being exploited, you know. So.
No, for sure. Let's talk about a little bit about it, because I mean, you've been in the music game a long time now. Describe how you got into it and what it's been for you over the years.
Oh man, my start. To give you a little bit of prehistory, I started as a consumer. You know, where I was when I was in high school, it's when the first rap records, as we know them, came out. And there's a big debate about the origin of rap, like when it actually started. But it had to be late 70s, 1977, 1978, when the first commercial rap records were being released out of New York. And I remember just buying when there was a new song out. I mean, I'm from North Carolina, so graduated high school in North Carolina and went to high school there. And whenever any songs came out from New York, I grabbed them up right away. I was always into poetry. I mean, some of my favorite, I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but I was a big Dr. Seuss fan and Mother Goose fan. Anything that was dealing with rhymes and stuff like that, I just liked it, you know. And then when this rap music came out, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. I was buying all the records, you know. And the first rap record to be released was called King Tim III. It was by a group called the Fatback Band, and there was a rapper. They're a funk band out of New York, and there was a rapper called King Tim III, and he actually went in and just flowed some lyrics on to a beat being played by this band. And then a few months later, Rappers You Like came out, which was the first commercially successful rap record. And so I bought that record and I bought all the stuff, you know, Spoon and G, Funky 4 Plus One More, just a lot of groups that probably the newer age rap fans never heard of. But I kind of grew up around the golden age of rap. And I kind of always wanted to be a DJ, I think. I kind of hung out with DJs and I was, you know, professional club goer. I mean, me and my brothers were in the clubs all the time, and our best friends, you know, sometimes were DJs. And so we'd hang out with the DJs and I would always watch what they're doing. And I watched the power that they had when you have 500, 700 people coming out to the club to hear this DJ play good music. And if you were a great DJ, you kept the dance floor packed. And if the DJ wasn't so good, people wouldn't come back to the club. And so I just hung out there watching how powerful music was and how important role the DJ plays to people like us that just love, you know, partying and going out and having fun. So years went by. I started kind of as a pop locker. So I would listen to rap and I was doing the pop lock, you know, and all the stuff like that. I had a couple of dance groups that I would kind of roll with. And then 1985, I was in college out in Texas, and I started rapping at these frat parties and different things like that. And people were saying, "Oh, you know, you're pretty good. You should pursue this." And kind of thought for a minute I probably could do it. And so I came to California to pursue that dream. I came to California in '85 and started performing. I had never been in a recording studio. Had never done a professional show before. And the first show that I had an opportunity to do, I teamed up with these two guys out of Antioch. And we teamed up. As soon as I got here, we teamed up. And that was when Dr. Dre and the World Class Wrecking Crew. This is before the NWA, before Eminem, all this. This group was called World Class Wrecking Crew. And they had some big records out then. And they came to Pittsburgh, right here in California. And they were performing there with Rodney and Joe Cooley and Egyptian Lover, just some of the legendary names of West Coast rap. And we opened for those guys, you know, local kids opened for those guys. And then about a year later, we went back and opened for Dr. Dre when he had changed the group. His group changed to the Boys in the Hood, which later became NWA, featuring Eazy-E. So we opened for them. And I started thinking then is I want to try to find my own identity and find out what my purpose is. And so I just started, you know, branching out and pursuing my thing. And right around the time, you know, early 90s, I did KMEL Summer Jam, 93. And right after that, I just decided that I didn't want to do music anymore. So I just kind of threw in the towel and quit pursuing that dream. That's around the time that I met you guys. And
okay.
I just went into my retirement phase, and I was coaching youth basketball and, you know, raising my kids and everything like that. And 17 years later, I decided I was going to reach for the mic again. So in 2010, I recorded a new song and a new video and threw it on YouTube, because we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have the internet in the 90s when I was performing. So after the 17-year hiatus, and I come back and it's like, we got the internet now. And, you know, the kids are like, Dad, you got to put your video on YouTube. And I was thinking, I'm gonna give it a shot, see what happens, you know. So 2010, I started recording again, and been nonstop since then, man. I've been touring the world, been able to see 27 countries, and been going full time on the music. And it's been a beautiful thing, man. It's been a beautiful thing.
It's amazing. I didn't realize that you totally quit music during that time.
Yeah. The time when I was coaching your brother. What year was that? It had to be like 90, because Marcus would have been 9.
It would have been 9, so
yeah.
It would have been 95.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during that time, it's like that was my hiatus, and I put my focus into coaching youth basketball. I was working for the recreation after school program, mentoring other kids. That's how I met you, coaching basketball and, you know, working with other kids and stuff. And I had lost my interest in pursuing the music thing. And I just wanted to be a good father to my kids. And, you know, after the kids got out of high school, it's kind of like, what do I do from here? You know? So I'm glad I went back into the music, because now I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm really being able to do what I think I was born to do, which is, you know, make the world a better place, and using music to do it, and just trying to bring people together in peace and love and unity and harmony. You know, those are things that are important to me. And so that's why I do what I do.
Awesome. Describe how, like, what got you into being more, like, it seems like there was a maybe when you got back into it, you started to get more like in an activist mindset with it, especially with, I know what's important to you is spreading light on the prescription drugs and the use.
Yeah, well, my purpose hasn't changed much, because even back in 86, when I recorded my first project, was called Freedom, A Message to the World. And I was talking about freedom, peace, and unity. And we had in the Bay Area, which was pretty unique, I think, at the time, because we were a biracial rap group. You know, we had one white kid that was rapping, and we were just basically trying to be an example of unity and peace, basically using Martin Luther King's philosophy and ideology. was what we were trying to promote back then. So I've always had a pretty conscious mindset, and I've always been mindful of the youth and things that you say and do. Words do matter. And I, that's why I was working with the youth, is trying to make the world a better place for the future, because, the young people are our future. And so I was doing that back in the 80s. And I mean, I did kind of divert a little bit right around early 90s when the first Gulf War broke out. I did a kind of my contribution to like a war protest type of song, if you will. And once again, it was still on a conscious, socially aware message. And I've always been a fighter for human rights. So I was doing that way back in the 80s. Just now in 2010, the reason I jumped on that platform was because, well, a couple of reasons actually. One reason was I observed when I was coaching youth, when I was working for the after school program, having kids in Mount Diablo School District, and I was in the classroom and on campus on a daily basis. And I saw so many kids that were taking prescription drugs for things such as ADHD or any of these behavioral things that psychiatrists and psychiatrists have given these phrases, ADHD, which they're basically labeling otherwise normal behaviors in young people, especially young boys. And they just label ADHD and they're giving drugs for it. And one of my sons was mislabeled ADHD, and we were prescribed drugs, but we never gave it to him. And a month later, I went back in to his pediatrician to get a second opinion, because I'm going to get a second and a third opinion if necessary. So I went in for a second opinion, and his doctor completely said the complete opposite from what he was prescribed. He said that he does not have ADHD. He wanted to know who told him that. And once I told him that it was one of his colleagues there at the hospital, and I showed him the prescription of the drugs that they wanted me to get and give to him, the doctor said, please do not give your son these pills. Your son is an adolescent 15-year-old boy. Whatever he's going through, he will grow out of it. And it was basically, he just struggled in a couple classes in school. He did well in a couple classes, but he struggled in a couple. And so the solution in their eyes was to give him a drug for it. But I said I wasn't going to do that. And then I started weighing that with all the other kids that I witnessed who were given drugs. And then I started feeling a sense of guilt and a sense of responsibility that somebody has to speak out. Somebody has to stand up for these kids and for these parents. So I started sharing my story. And that's what the song that I wrote in 2010, that I recorded in 2010 was called Y'all Busted. And Y'all Busted was basically saying to those that overprescribe these type of drugs that kills kids, I was telling them that you're busted, because we already know that your purpose and intent is to prescribe as many people. This is my viewpoint at the time, that your purpose and intent is to prescribe them to try to make a short-term fix for a long-term problem, but it doesn't really cure anything. And you're making trillions of dollars by doing it. So I just wanted to share my story, because other people have the same story, I'm sure. And some people's stories are worse than mine. They lost their kids because of suicide, which is directly related to prescription of this drug. In a lot of cases, it's the wrong diagnosis. And so that's what started me on the over-medicating and over-prescribing.
Y'all busted.
Y'all busted. Okay, here you go, coming home from working all day. The teacher calls you up with something that she gotta say. Talking about your kid in a messed up way. He's gotta see the shrink and you just might have to pay. If you ain't living in the hood, then it's probably all good. Mama says, oh yeah, oh you really think you should? Now this here just ain't right. The Sykes got them so tight they don't put up a fight. Now if this was the hood, I don't think you could just come up and say that, yo, I wish you would. Mama don't play that, yo, she cut you, cuz. Better tell her what ADHD is and what it does.
They cannot, even when
even in foster care, there was an expose that was done here in California by San Jose Mercury News, that over 70% of kids in California foster care are over-drugged, misdiagnosed, and giving these pills. And they found out that the prescribers of these pills are given an incentive in terms of bonuses and kickbacks for prescribing these drugs. So it's kind of like a legalized drug dealing, if you will, of a very harmful methamphetamine-based drug that does things different for young kids than it does for adults. And a lot of times, some of the side effects of these drugs are far worse than the problem itself. It includes suicidal ideologies, loss of weight, aggression, loss of appetite, loss of sleep, could cause sudden death. All these things are written in their side effects, which a lot of times they pull out of the medication before they give it to you because they probably don't want you to read the possibilities of harm. But I realized all that, and I just said I wanted to do something that would hopefully challenge other people to think and research for themselves. And it's been working. There's a lot of people. A lot of people are agreeing, but there's some people that disagree, and which is fine because I don't do what I do to get agreement, and just want to challenge people to think and research, and come to their own conclusion, which is what I did. But my message is kind of the same. I feel like I'm a human rights fighter, social rights, civil rights fighter. I would always speak up for somebody who was in a situation like that. I always speak up and speak out for them. So I think that's pretty much kind of describes who I am in a nutshell.
For sure. No, and describe like what you've seen as far as changes in the movement throughout the decades. You like you said, you started back in the 80s talking on a human rights message. And I know a lot of people like my age and younger feel like times are really crazy, and that, like, I was just talking with your son and our buddy Bobby yesterday, and there's that sentiment that nothing ever changes, like that we've all been oppressed forever and that things aren't going to be changed. I'd like to get your perspective, since you've actually been on the ground, part of the movement in your own way. What changes have you seen, and do you have hope for how things are, or do things seem kind of hopeless for you?
Well, to answer the last question first, yeah, I do have hope, and we all should have hope. Hope is all we cherish, really, and if you don't have hope, what do you have? So hope, yes, still have hope. What have I seen as far as the changes? There has been some changes, but they've been slow, and some of the things that you would think needs immediate change hasn't changed much. And so I think it's the priorities of those that are in charge are kind of not in place with reality. And that could be because the people that are in charge are somewhat out of touch with reality of the real people, we the people, and how we make change. I just tell people, as I said in the song, is you can be what you want to be, and be the change that you want to see. So the change is going to start with us, and we the people. I don't know what they meant, we the people, when the Constitution was written, but I look at it as we the people are the ones that can make change, and we the people are the ones with the power. And right now, there's people that are fighting, and I don't tell people what to fight for, but if you don't stand for something, there's that saying that you're going to fall for anything, And so people are taking a stand right now, and that's a change that I see. People took a stand back in the 60s in the civil rights era and things like that. People took a bold stand. In the 70s, people took a stand. The 80s were good times, and I can't recall back in the 80s like what big stances were made, but there are people that were constantly being activists. And now here we go in 2000, and the way politics is going now and the way the world tends to be going right now, a lot of people are becoming active, which is good. That is a positive change. The fight is kind of divided right down the middle, I think. We're kind of divided right down the middle, but at least people are standing up for something. They're being challenged to think, and whether we agree with each other or not is not the issue. But it's just that for so long people have been silent, and I think really the key, still got faith in the youth, man. I still got faith in the youth. That's going to be the big difference. The cats that are your age, Stretch's age, and younger, those are ones that are going to make the difference. Guys that are 60s, 70s, 80s, I mean, they become somewhat complacent. This is my viewpoint. I mean, it's only my opinion, and they become complacent. And at some point, they got to pass the baton. And we got to have somebody that's ready to take that baton and do the right thing with it. That's why I try to keep the road clear. I try to pave the road. I try to knock down barriers, kick through walls, do whatever I got to do to keep the road, pave the road for the young people that's coming through. Because quite honestly, I'm going to be codependent on you guys to take over. Like, I'm running it right now. I'm doing my thing. I'm doing the best I can. And I'm, standing up to challenges or whatever. But there becomes a point where the younger people have to step up too. But they also need some people with experience and with determination and integrity more than anything, with integrity and ethics to stand up so that they'll be behind somebody that's worthy of following. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I'm just trying to put myself in a position that makes me worthy of having people to follow my lead and lead them in the right direction. You know what I mean?
No, I think that's really important. And especially coming from someone like you, like, there's a lot of people out there who, they say all the right things, but like talking about leadership, I feel like there's a void of leadership in at the higher levels in our governments, no matter where you live. And I feel like we should be listening to leaders who are on the ground and know what's going on. People like yourself, because you have been, like you said, you've been working with the youth for as long as I've known you. And you have a direct influence on my life personally. I remember back when you were coaching Marcus, I remember just being enthralled with anything that you were saying because you had that presence about you. All the kids knew, like, hey, let's pay attention to Coach Norm. But then fast forward to when I was in high school and you came along, and like that was, especially freshman year, it's a weird time to be a kid especially playing basketball. You're trying to make the team. And with our situation, we had a coach who was a very old gentleman who, like he was an interesting guy, but I mean, he wasn't what I was looking for in a basketball coach at that time,
Yeah.
You come to the scene and we all gravitated towards you, but you got us. Like, you knew how to interact with us. You knew how to connect with us and really push us in the right direction.
Yeah. Now that's important too. I mean, the coach that you guys had, I'm sure he did the best he could do. And many years ago, he probably was a really good coach. But I think that he wasn't. The advantage that I think I had was that I could relate to the youth, I think, better. And at least I got through to you guys way quicker and more effective than he did, not judging him on I mean, I could, his basketball philosophy was way different than what I played, and is way different from what I was taught as growing up. It was completely, I didn't understand it. And so I didn't want to judge him. I just wanted to be there to inspire you guys, and to be there for you guys and share with you what I knew, what I learned at a young age. You know what I mean? Just share that with you guys. And I'm sure he did the best he could, but I just think that he didn't really have his finger on. He didn't know who he was coaching. The group that he was coaching was a very diverse group and a lot of raw talent. And I just don't think that he recognized what he had and knew how to work with the tools that he had in his toolbox. He was hoping for something else and trying to coach a different philosophy that didn't really work with the culture of your team. But once we got it together, you guys did play better. I ain't even gonna lie. We didn't win, but I tell you what, we didn't lose by 30. We didn't lose by 20.
Yeah.
A lot of times we barely lost. You know what I mean? And it was a huge compliment. One of the coaches, I don't know if it was Liberty or one of the schools out in Brentwood, one of the coaches that you guys played in the tournament like 2 weeks earlier, they really handled you guys bad. I mean, you guys lost by a lot. But then when we played them the second time, like a couple of weeks later, and I was new coach there, coach was a little shook. He was a little shaken. And after the game, he came over to me and he goes, "Hey, coach, I don't know what you're doing with them, but this looks like a different team. They play way better today. They They were just more focused and more competitive today than they were when we saw them 2 or 3 weeks ago, which is a huge compliment to you guys. You guys stood up to the challenge, and you were playing like a team. And I'm confident that if I would have stayed with you guys through the whole year, we would have ended the winning season, no doubt.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, the thing was, is like you took it way further than basketball too. Like you showed that you cared about us as, you know, just human beings.
Oh, of course.
Like
Most
it
definitely.
wasn't just, you know, and that's nothing against our coach as well. Like I had nothing against the guy, but I never felt like he really cared that much about us.
He, you know, you guys, his stats. Stats is a big thing, especially when you're new there. When you're the new coach there, you got to show something like right away. And if you don't, you might not have your position next year. And I think that's what a lot of high school coaches are looking at is they have to win. And my philosophy is winning is a concession that comes with being prepared. And what my job is to get you prepared and get you to buy into hustling hard and playing hard, not giving up, not feeling inferior just because these guys are 6'8", 6'5", whatever. And we don't have that height yet, but not feeling like that you're inferior to these guys. Step up and play hard and play with integrity and play with heart. That was what I was trying to sell on, which I did. And then as a return, when you play more competitive and you play with more intensity, then you win. And some people put the winning first. And for me, I don't put the winning first. And I just coached this past year. It was my first time coaching since I coached those guys when they were younger, you know.
No way.
I coached over at College Park, man. I coached girls. This is my first time ever coaching girls.
Wow.
And I coached JV girls at College Park, but they were all freshmen. They were all freshmen, and they didn't have enough girls to try out for JV, so they moved the freshman girls up. We had one girl that was a junior. She was a junior, but she was the only person, and they already had the varsity team, so she played on my team. She got injured mid-season. She was a good player. She got injured mid-season, so we ended the season with 9 freshmen playing JV. We were playing against some schools that had true JV players. I mean, some of these schools were really good. These girls had a lot of experience. My girls, in the interest of fairness to them, they didn't have a whole lot of in-game experience. I mean, we only had 2 girls on the team that had ever played like CYO or AAU in an organized like league. Out of all the girls, there were only like 2 that ever played in an organized league. The other ones just played like middle school basketball and intramural, junior high school intramural basketball. But, you know, it's a different story when you go to high school. So anyway, we took that team, bro. We finished 9-2 in league. We came second place in league with a whole.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, so I look forward to coming back with the girls next year. It's an awesome group of girls, man, and they it was a big change. It took a couple of weeks, but you see like the intensity and just believing in themselves, you know, and having confidence in what they're doing. And it actually showed on the court, man. It actually showed, and it was beautiful to be a part of that, to watch that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I look forward to
the big difference between coaching boys and girls?
The difference oh man, well, boys didn't seem. I'm gonna try to say the nice word. The girls are a little bit more emotional than boys.
Yeah.
Put it that way. They're a little bit more emotional, and so the approach to coaching them for me was slightly different. And the boys, if I yell and I tell you, you know, Arsenio, man, get out there. You know, don't take that stuff, man. Get out there. You would be like getting pumped up. You know, I can try to get in your head and get you out there. It's like, hey, man, no, you're not no chump, man. Don't let this guy push you around. You know, you scared? You be like, no, coach, you scared? No, well, get out there, show. You'll go out there and, you know, you'll man up and go out there and do it. But if I took that same approach with some of the girls, it's like it would break them down. I would not get the response that I wanted. So I had to find a way to get them pumped up. And it was a great experience for me. I mean, it was a huge experience for me, man. And they taught me a lot, and I'm sure I taught them a lot too in the short time we were together. But you know, also the strength. You know, it's a different game. Speed, strength, being able to make that cross court pass and that nice crisp chest pass and all the stuff like that. The stuff that we have to work on with 14-year-old girls. And it's just a learning process, you know. But they're getting it. They're getting it, you know. And I'm proud of them.
That's awesome. Talk about your time as what's it called? Campus supervisor. I know you mentioned it a little bit about being at Mount Diablo. I know you worked with the kids a lot out there.
Yeah. So I was campus supervisor at Mount Diablo High School, 94, was it 1994, 1995 or something like that? 1995 to 1996, I believe, yeah. So we were doing a celebrity basketball game, and I had, we were playing against the Concord Police Department, and we were doing like a safe summer game type of thing, trying to build some camaraderie in the community. It's a family event. We had sponsorship from Sega. KMEL was there. I had, we did a couple of games there. So when I went there to secure the gym, I wanted to look for a venue that we could play this game at. So I went there to rent the gym because someone told me that we could lease the gym there, and it wouldn't be that much it wouldn't cost that much. So I went there to lease the gym and told them what we're going to do. And so it's going to be great. Seems like a great event. And then it was like, hey, are you interested in becoming a campus supervisor? And I'm like, I don't know. What does that entail? Oh, well, think about it. You don't have to make a decision now, but just think about it. We need more men on campus. And, we think that you'll work well here. And a lot of the kids, I knew a lot of the kids there, and I knew the parents. I mean, some of the kids' parents graduated from there. So Mount Diablo, I knew a lot of people from Mount. And I said that could be an advantage that I could have, is that these kids know me, from my earlier works and some of the Sega commercials and stuff. And so they kind of knew who I was. So the next day I told them that I would do it. And I was, only 3 hours a day. I just come over. My idea was to keep the campus safe and to be a mentor to the young people. Worked with the basketball team as much as I could, and just kind of be eyes and ears for the parents while they were at work, trying to survive and take care of the family. The kids were in school. I just want them to have as good time, a good experience in high school as I did when I was in high school. So was there doing that. And after a year, you're either part of the problem or part of the solution. And they had some problems there that it were easy to fix problems. And I came with ideas as a campus supervisor. I thought that was a part of my job, is to know what's happening on campus at all times and find a way to make things better. So I was bringing in ideas that would make things better, and every idea I was bringing in was getting vetoed. And then it was a little bit of retaliation that was going on. And so, and that's what affected me when I was coaching your team your freshman year, was that I had filed some grievances at the school district level because there were things that I witnessed at the high school that I worked at that were not okay. And a lot of it involved the safety of the students, mainly the safety of the students. And so I brought that to the attention of my supervisor, which no changes were made. In fact, they retaliated against me because I brought it up. So then I had to go above his head, and I went to the school district, filed some complaints with them. And they tried to fire me, but because I was doing a good job, they really couldn't fire me. So I just figured, you know what, why would I work here if they don't want me here or need me here? So I could find other stuff to do. So, and I wasn't even looking for a job when I went there. So I left. And by doing that, they flagged my name so that when a few years later, when I was asked to coach your team, when they fired coach right after the game, they fired him and gave me the bag and was like, you're the new coach. It's like, I'm not the coach, I'm just a parent here to support the kids. And I'm like, the kids want you to coach, we want you to coach. And it came back up. It was like, we don't want this guy to coach this team. And I guess it's just that I knew some things, and they were probably afraid that I would be a big deal for them. But, all that's gone, man. That's more than 20, 25 years ago now. So, but that was pretty much what happened. I know the parents never really understood, and it put me in a bad position because it looked like a weird situation the way they handled it, which they didn't handle it cool at all. But I just went my ways, man, and life goes on, and my life is good. And now here I am coaching basketball again in Mount Diablo School District.
It's so crazy.
Goes full circle. So,
yeah. It does. That was so bizarre too, because the reason that we even had an opening, was because there was, now who knows how serious it was, but there were problems with our coach, how well he was handling, maybe he was being a little too rough with the kids and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it was weird that, okay, you didn't work out. What their solution to it was to rehire him.
We hired the same guy that they fired right after the game.
Yeah, so that's what made it really weird for all of us.
Yeah, you know, I feel kind of bad for him because he was talking to me. He was like, "Hey, they fired me, and then they hired me back for some reason. I don't even know why. I don't know why they did that." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know why either. I just, you know, it's like it was
very bizarre.
Yeah, it was goofy, but hey, it is what it is, and I'm sure he was happy to be back. And
he didn't last.
Yeah,
for him after that season.
Yeah.
But so all part of our journey, though, I guess, right?
Yeah, man. And you guys turned out well. You know, you were a hell of a ball player. You guys had a lot of talent on that team.
I learned a lot of adversity from my time, like how to deal with adversity through my time playing at Concord High. Because, you know, we had talent, like you said. There was definitely a lot of talent on our squads, but we never had like that coach leadership sustained throughout our careers that we could really build off of. And everyone had egos, you know, like we had to learn how to really come together and make.
That's what it is, man. And a lot of the coaches, I'm not trying to disrespect them, but a lot of the coaches, high school coaches, they have, you know, slightly egos and stuff like that. And it's all about ego and, you know, check the ego at the door and just go in, and you're there for the kids, you know, you're there for the guys. And I wanted you guys to be as good as I could help you become. I wanted you guys to just learn everything that you could teach in one season. And it ain't about me because I already had my career and I was pretty competitive, and, you know, I did what I wanted to do. And now it's time for me to give that experience to the younger people that they can hopefully that they can have, you know, similar success or more or better, or similar experience at least, or better. And that was all I was there for. It ain't got nothing to do with ego or prestige or titles or something like that. You know? So, yeah, so it was good. It was a good lesson, man. It was a good lesson for all of us, but it was good camaraderie. And it's good to see you guys are still connected with a lot of your high school buddies, even years later after graduating. And you went off to college out in New Mexico and everything. So,
yeah,
that was cool.
It's been cool to keep in touch with. You know, I haven't kept in touch with a lot of them, but definitely.
Oh, do it, man. Do it. Any of your good buddies, man, definitely get back in touch with them. I reunited with some of my good friends from my childhood growing up in Germany. I reunited from some of my good friends from high school, some of my friends from when I was in the military, even some of my college teammates. I reunited with some of these guys. And, you know, there's always one or two guys that you don't really have a desire to connect with, just who they were, you know, then. But no, for the most part, it's always good, man, to catch up from when you last saw somebody or whatever.
That's what I'm thankful for my tattooing. You know, it's helped me to reconnect with a lot of people from the past just because they come in for a tattoo. And before you know it, it's like you reestablish a friendship. And
oh, yeah. You're a hell of an artist, man. I didn't know that you had it in you. I didn't know either.
Apparently.
You must have been doing art back in the time, though, back when, you know, when I was coaching Marcus and them back then, you must have been doing art. I mean, I'm sure it's not something you just got into in the last, like, 5 years.
No, it's crazy. Like, art's always been something. It's one of those things. I always adhered to that idea of, you know, the starving artist.
Yeah.
So as a kid growing up, I always thought of it as just a hobby. Like, just draw, you know, like it was for school projects or whatever. I would do art stuff and people would always be like, yeah, that's cool. But I never took it serious.
Yeah.
I was into sports. I was always basketball. So that was always my big thing. It wasn't until I graduated college that I really started diving back into my art. Like I got a degree in business and I didn't really want to go into the corporate world. So I just really started thinking, what am I going to do with my life? And I was sitting there with my roommate one day and we were staring at the blank walls and I hated the white walls. And I was like, dude, I want to paint some murals. And
oh, you painted the murals in the dorm?
No, I had a house out there. My parents ended up buying a house for me to stay in.
Oh, okay.
So we were there and I just got inspired. And I said, all right, I'm going to throw up some murals. And so we went to the store that night, got some paints. and then I ended up painting Bob Marley and Santana, Carlos.
Oh, man. You got creative out there, huh?
Yeah. Oh, once I did that, I got hooked. And literally that first year, I probably painted like 30 paintings within a few months. And I haven't looked back since. I realized that that was my
good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the early days, because you just alluded to them. I totally forgot that you grew up in Germany. Well, at least your childhood.
I did. I lived there until I was 15. I lived there back and forth 3 times until I was 15.
So you're military then? Your dad was military?
I'm Army brat, and Dad got orders for Germany 3 times, and he loved it over there apparently. And first time I went, I was barely walking. I mean, I have some vague memories. I must have been probably 2. I was just a little baby then, so I was barely walking, but I still have some memories of it, some experiences of it. And we lived in Munich. I lived there I think we were there for 3.5 years, 4 years. And then we left Munich and came back to the U.S. And that's when my dad got shipped to Vietnam. And then when he came back from Vietnam, he got orders again for Nuremberg. And that's where I started kindergarten in Nuremberg Elementary. And I was there for 4 years. And then we came back to the U.S. And my dad was stationed in Oklahoma for a minute. We got stationed in, Fort Ord down in Monterey.
Hey,
yeah, he got
right by there.
Yeah, so I got he was stationed there. And if I'm not mistaken, he's a drill sergeant there, I believe. And then we were there for a little bit. I started 5th grade there. And then he got orders again for Germany. So we went back to Germany again, where I finished 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade in Germany. And the place that we were in is called Herzogenaurach. Herzogenaurach is a small village near Nuremberg. And it's famously known as the home of Adidas and Puma. Or as Americans call it Adidas, but the proper pronunciation is Adidas.
Okay.
And those factories were right in the small village. We were like the underdog kids over there. I mean, our base was super small, was a support base. We were super small, but when it came to sports, we were known. We had some good coaches, man. Baseball, football, and basketball, we had good coaches. And I'm in touch with my coach, who actually pretty much taught me basketball. I got reunited with him last year, bro. I've been looking for this guy for like 30 years. I got reunited with him last year. And he was the guy, Marcus will probably appreciate, push it and rotate plays that I was showing you guys. He was the guy that taught us those plays. I was like 12 years old, and we ran those plays to perfection, bro. We ran those plays. We run the score up on kids, man, with those plays. And Wild 5, our full court press, impeccable, bro. It was just like, it was unbelievable. This guy is the guy that taught us that. He lives in Georgia, and he was a master. Okay. He was a master on the basketball court, and I didn't know it until I spoke to him when I got back in touch with him, and thanked him for showing me how to love basketball. And I tried to pay it forward by coaching other kids like he did. And he says, "Hey, I want to tell you something. That was my first time ever coaching." I was like, and we went to the playoffs and everything. He said that was his first time ever coaching. And he's just a hell of a player though, man. He was a great player. He was good. And so it was good to get in touch with him. But I lived there until I was 15. And then I moved back to the U.S. My dad got stationed in South Carolina. And we were from North Carolina, which was not very far away in terms of hours or whatever. So Mom was like, she wanted to move back to North Carolina to be closer to her family. So, and she told my dad she didn't want to go back to Europe again. So she was hoping he didn't get stationed in Europe, which he didn't. And so my dad bought a home in North Carolina, my hometown. So we all moved up there. And then, so that's what took me to high school there. I was 15 and graduated high school and started floating out west.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So what was the main thing you took from the culture differences of going from the U.S. to Germany, especially during those formative years of being a teenager?
the schools were different, slightly different. You know, we went to American schools there, but even the schools there were slightly different from the public schools in the States. As far as people-wise, I mean, there we had our group of friends, our circle of friends. It was literally, when I know it's a cliche, like the melting pot. That was pretty much what we were. I mean, we were from all ethnicities, from all parts of the world. But one thing we had in common is that we were all American citizens. We were all kids, and all of our parents were in the military, and that's what brought us there. And so we quickly learned to cohabitate with each other. We learned to get along. Even the kids that we sometimes kind of rubbed each other the wrong way, but more than anything, we were still all united in the sense that we were all foreigners living over there. And it was a great experience. It was a really good experience. It's a very unique experience, and unless it's hard to explain it, but in order to appreciate or know what I'm talking about, is that the only way to do it is if you've experienced it or lived it. So other military brats that I meet, even if we don't know each other, never met each other before, but once I say I'm a military brat and they say I'm a military brat, we automatically get it, because we're kind of like a fraternity, an unknown fraternity. And we can all relate to each other. We know what it's like to go someplace and know when you get there that you're going to be there for a limited amount of time, then you're going to leave. You may or may not see what you would consider your best friend again. You may or may not see them again. And back then we didn't have the internet. You know, pen pals, you'd write a letter to somebody, it'd take a month before they get it. And then if they respond, it's another month. I mean, it was way different than sending an email, FaceTime, Snapchat, whatever that we have now. It would have been great back then. But yeah, that's kind of the difference, was that we knew going into it that, hey, we get here, we got to start over. We're the new kids here. People kind of look at you like, you're the new kids? It's like, yeah, we're the new kids. And it takes you a minute to kind of acclimate, start meeting friends, find out who the cool friends who you get along with. Okay, boom. And then as soon as you get really acquainted, at some period over the next couple of years, either your friend's going to leave because their family was already there for 2 or 3 years, or you're going to leave because it's time for you to rotate to a new place. So that took some getting used to. We just had to get used to that. But
I feel like there's two types of people that come out of that. Like there's some that, I imagine for you seem very, socially adept. Probably because of that, you had to constantly make new friends and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
While there could be introverted people where, like, I'm definitely much more introverted. I've improved over the years as I've gotten older, but as a kid, man, if I had to move around like that and try and make new friends every couple of years, I would have struggled.
Yeah.
Moving from elementary to middle school was a struggle for me.
I understand. But for us, it seemed like natural. Seemed natural. I mean, I come from a large family, though. I'm one of 7 kids. So, in a lot of cases, the best friends were right there in our house, and we always had something to do. So even if there wasn't nothing to do, we had something to do.
Yeah.
We had every board game you can imagine. So we found a way to make it happen. And plus, being kind of social, I come from a family that's pretty social, very social, almost to a fault. So we always met people or attracted people just because of our interests and their interests, which a lot of times it was sports related. And we always found ourselves around people or meeting people was not a problem. And I guess from a large family too, we kind of stood out. We have one of the larger families in my community, in my neighborhood. We have one of the larger families. And so we kind of stood out too. It was like, man, they got all them kids in their family. What is it? A baseball team, football team, basketball team? How many people got in the house, So it was always, it was good though. It was good.
Now, were you one of the older ones or younger ones in your family?
I'm the third.
Third oldest?
Yeah. And I have my sisters, all my sisters younger, but my oldest sister, she was born in Munich. Then after her is my other sister that was born in Nuremberg. Then I have a baby brother that was born in Nuremberg, and my baby sister was born in Nuremberg.
Okay.
So, yeah, so.
So you're the oldest son?
No, I'm the third oldest. I have two older brothers.
Oh, two older. Okay.
Yeah, I have two older brothers, and then came me.
Okay. Well, you're like my dad then. He's the third oldest as well in his family.
Yeah.
Yeah, of 8.
Oh, okay. How's your dad doing, man? Tell him I said hello.
Oh, he's doing good. We got great news earlier well, I guess it was the end of last year. I'm pretty sure I told you that he had cancer.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had prostate cancer, and so he's been battling that for the past 3 or 4 years. And so he underwent radiation last year, and we got good news. I think in October, I believe, that they got pretty much all of it out of him. There's like a 0.01% little bit left, so they're going to do some hormone treatment, but for the most part, they got it all out. So.
Nice. Well, tell him I said congratulations. That's good. That's good news.
Yeah, and it's a good segue into the next subject because he actually went to a mainly plant-based diet
Oh, really?
to go with it. Yeah, he still eats fish.
Yeah.
But he everything else, it's all plant-based. So I know that's a big thing for you as well. Describe what got you into that.
Yeah, well, it's been almost 5 years now. December will be 5 years for me since I had any animal product. And to kind of give you the story before the story, 5 years ago, 2015, March of 2015, I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. So it was a shocker to me because I always considered myself to be in great shape. And I was the big guy that could go and play pickup basketball and be one of the first guys to get there and play against everybody that shows up and be one of the last guys to leave. I'm still out there ready to play. And I just thought I was in great shape, I was in great shape. But I didn't play ball for a while, and I started getting shortness of breath and so forth. And I thought was that I was putting on a few pounds and that I wasn't playing ball, I wasn't lifting weights, working out like I used to, that maybe that was what it was. So time went on, and it just started getting worse. And one day, I felt like I used to have the feeling of a butterfly flying in my chest. My heart was actually fluttering. I didn't know my heart was fluttering, but it felt like butterfly flapping the wings in my chest. It was a weird feeling. And then, my wife, she's been on a plant-based diet for many years now. And she went gluten-free and dairy-free first. And then she was doing vegetarian. And then after a couple of years, she went all out vegan. And at the time of my diagnosis, she was vegan. And she had done a lot of research on veganism. And she said that the diet that I should be on should be a strictly plant-based diet, because eating animal product tends to contribute to heart failure in a negative way or whatever like that. So she was telling me how, all the research, I should go plant-based. And I was like, I can't, I gotta eat meat. I can't live without eating meat. Come on, I'm addicted to meat. I gotta eat meat. So I said, what I'll do is I'll eat more vegetables and stuff, but I'll still continue to eat meat. I cut out steak. I cut steak out, and I was eating mostly fish and grilled chicken and stuff like that. And I go when I'm on the road, a lot of places we go to, and they'll take us out to dinner and stuff. And it's like, oh, they got this place that has a good steak, because we're Americans. And the first thing they think that Americans eat, especially big guys like me, is they eat fat steaks, So I got this place, they got fat steaks, really good steaks. And I said, I don't like steak. And they go, you don't like steak? And I go, no. But here's my theory. Anytime you have a meat that has a special knife to cut it, like a steak knife, that steak knife is specifically for cutting steak. And you have to saw the steak to cut it. And I'm thinking, man, what is that doing when you eat it? You have a special knife that looks like a saw to cut it, and then you're chewing it hella times, and then it gets in your stomach. And after I eat it, it feels like it's in my stomach a week later. Somebody told me probably is in your stomach a week later. So I cut that out first. Okay, so now I got diagnosed in March of 2015, and my wife is trying to direct me, kind of lead me a little bit into coming on the plant-based, but she knew, she didn't try to force it upon me. And I tried to do better eating vegetables and stuff. And then one day, December, that same year, we were on tour in Florida. And the restaurant had this bomb breakfast, man. I mean, they had the bacon, sausage, and eggs. And we were like the first people in there at breakfast. And so it was all stacked up, freshly out of the cook. So I go in there, and I just put the bacon on the plate, sausage on the plate, eggs with the cheese on the plate, tear it up, go back and get a couple more pieces of bacon. That night I had fish tacos for the first time ever, having fish tacos. They were good. The next day we're getting dressed, going to breakfast again, and I said, today's the day I go vegan. As I'm putting my shoes on, today's the day I go vegan. She goes, what did you say? And I said, today's the day I go vegan. She goes, you're joking, right? I go, no. She goes, when you go in there, you're not going to eat bacon like you did yesterday. I go, nope, no bacon, no sausage, no eggs, nothing from the animal. She was like, okay, I support you. All right, let's do it. So we go into breakfast. And I had little veggies, oatmeal, apples, stuff like that. Lunchtime, I had salad and some like quinoa salad or something. And I'm eating it down. And I was like, oh, hell no. What did I just subscribe to? I don't think it's going to make 2 weeks. This is what I was thinking. I didn't tell her. But in my mind, I didn't think I was going to make 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so started going, man. The 2 weeks came, and I was like, dang, today's 2 weeks. I feel great. I'm not even craving meat. So let me keep going to see how long, see if I can go a month. So a month came. I wasn't craving meat. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I had to follow up with my doctor. Now, there's a lab when they draw the blood, when you have heart failure. To look for heart failure, there's a lab called the BNP. It's called pro-BNP, and they draw the blood, and then the numbers are supposed to be 50 to 100 per milliliter of blood. 50 to 100, whatever that means. It's supposed to be between 50 and 100. 100 to 300 is signs of heart failure, and 300 and above is moderate heart failure, right? When I went in to the doctor, I was 547.
Whoa.
So they told me I was in extreme high risk for stroke. They did an EKG and all this other stuff, and they told me that I had atrial flutter. That was what made it feel like a butterfly in my chest. I had atrial flutter, and my heart was only functioning at 30%, and my heart rate at rest was 140 BPM when I went in. That's sprinting. That's like sprinting. I mean, I can sprint. I can run a suicide back to back, full speed, and can't get 140 beats per minute on my heart rate. I was 140 at rest, and when I went, by the time I went vegan, it had went down to 200 or something because they did some procedure to get my heart rhythm back in. It's called a cardioversion. So I had a cardioversion, so it got my heart back in rhythm, and so it started functioning properly now. Now it's beating properly. Before it was beating 3 times on the upper chamber and like 1 on the lower chamber, as opposed to going boom, 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 boom. This is the normal heart rate. Mine was going boom, 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 boom. And then it would pause. Then it might beat twice and pause and then beat 1. It was just really irregular. By doing this cardioversion, it put it back in the regular. It's like your car. When the timing is off in your car and you get the timing reset, I basically had the timing reset, if you will, on my heart. So then
did you feel that? Like,
I didn't feel the procedure because they put you under. Because it's
no, but like your heart being irregular.
Oh yeah. And the only way I described it, when I described it to the doctor, was it feels like a butterfly in my chest.
Okay.
But what it was is the heart wasn't even really beating all the way. It was like fluttering. It was like fluttering. It wasn't even beating. It wasn't even beating the full beat. It was just like flutter. And so it's a condition called atrial flutter. So they have atrial fibrillation, which is a very serious thing. Then they have atrial flutter, which the way he explained it to me was not as drastic as atrial fibrillation. So I know it sounds weird, but I'm glad I had atrial flutter rather than atrial fibrillation. And so yeah, they did this procedure. So that allowed the heart to start building up strength again, so that it was working stronger before and than it was before. And the numbers changed. So it went from 547 and went down to 200 or something. Right after this procedure, it just went down. And things were getting better, and I had to keep monitoring it. And I would go in every 3 to 6 months for follow-up. So now that was in March. I did my the cardio version was in June.
Okay.
And I could tell the difference from like the time when they put me under to do it, but then when I came back out, I could feel the difference. I was like, wow, I feel different. This feels more like how I'm used to feeling before, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward to December when I decided to go plant-based. I had a follow-up January, February. I had a follow-up with my doctor. And get this, I was 5 weeks to the day on a plant-based diet. And when I went in with the doctor for my follow-up, he comes in and he goes, he thought it was the wrong chart because the number was so low. It was like low 200, but it was still a little bit high, but it was way lower than it was at 547. And he said to me, he goes, yeah, this is going great. He goes, I don't know what you're doing, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it. This is what he originated this to me. I don't know what you're doing, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I've never seen your numbers look better. We're going in the right direction now. So I looked at my wife and she smiled and I kind of smiled at her. She winked, you know. So then a few minutes later, I put my shirt back on and I said, Doc, you want to know what I've been doing? He goes, what have you been doing? I said, I went on a vegan diet. And he goes, really? And I said, yeah. And he goes, good for you. He said, that was the best decision you could have made. For your condition, that was the best decision you could have made for yourself. And he said, how long? And I said, 5 weeks today. He said, good for you. That will definitely improve your quality of life. So I was thinking, wow, that was cool acknowledgement, right? And he was super excited for me. And so I said, if he said that now, and it was low 200, like 230, 220, I'm going to continue this lifestyle until my next follow-up, and I'm going to see what the number was. Mm-hmm. Fast forward now to October, I have another follow-up appointment with him. This time I go in there, and he walks in the office. He puts the chart down, and he looks at me, and he goes, how do you feel? I said, well, I feel great, Doc. I feel fantastic. He said, good. He said, let me tell you something. I've been doing this for a long time. I have never had a patient with a number as low as yours. He said, I've never even heard of this number being this low. The number went from a 547 to a 5.6, something like that.
Wow.
So it was 5, not 500, 5. And so I said to him, I said, well, I said, if I understand this correctly, when I came in, I felt horrible. I was in bad shape. I had heart failure at 547. He goes, yes. And I said, if I understand this lab with the number this low now, it's lower than low. I no longer have heart failure. Is that a true statement? And he said, that's a true statement. He said, as you sit here today, you have reversed your condition. You no longer have heart failure. And I said, wow. So then I said, I'll just, at that point, I just may as well stick with that lifestyle, which I've done since then. And it's been incredible, man. It's been an incredible ride. And I recently started sharing that story with other people with the hopes that it can make a difference in their life. My dad passed in 2000 from heart failure. And heart failure is it's the number one killer of African-American men. I don't know if that's across the board with African-Americans, but definitely African-American men. The number one killer is heart failure. And
I guess the number one killer just in America in general as well.
It's the silent killer too. It's a silent killer. Man, so many people that we've lost just from heart failure, young and old. And I'm one of the lucky ones to be here now, knock on wood that I'm here. And I stick with that lifestyle because it works for me. And yeah, it's a game changer, man.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Describe like what changes have you felt outside of the heart condition with changing to a vegan lifestyle? Because I've gone back and forth. Like I definitely try to stick to a plant-based diet as much as possible, but I did about 5 years myself of straight plant-based, vegan, anything. Then I started getting more active, working out and like being outdoors a lot more, and I felt like I needed a little bit more strength. So I think I was just not good at, getting my diet proper.
Yeah, that's the thing too, that a lot of people that I spoke to, that tried it. They said it didn't work for them. They felt like they needed more protein. And I mean, that's the number one question that people ask. I mean, complete strangers, whatever. And if I say I'm vegan, they go, really, how do you get your protein? And I kind of laugh, and it's like, oh, I get my protein from plants and, vegetables and tofu, and which is basically a plant made from soybeans. And so I just, they want to know where you get your protein from. And you can get a lot of protein. I mean, a lot of bodybuilders are using vegan protein supplement.
Yeah,
that they make this
supplement.
vegan. Yeah, pea-based, So I mean, you can get the protein from without having to eat it, get it from animals. The biggest change I see digestion is way better. I hardly ever get sick. So I mean, even before going on a plant-based diet, I very rarely would I ever get sick. So I've been lucky in that respect. I mean, people look at me and they say, and I say, well, I'm a vegan. They say, you're vegan? I was like, yeah, I'm a 300-pound vegan. I know I don't look like I'm starving to do it. I mean, it just shocks them that say I'm vegan because I guess they think a vegan is supposed to be all drawn up or something, sucked in or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, that's the changes for me. I mean, it seems like the digestion is definitely a lot better than before.
What does your diet consist of? Like, just break down like just any regular day. Like, what's your?
Oh, today, Dylan actually made some green beans that she grew in our garden. So she had some green beans. She sauteed green beans. We had spinach. We had rice, tofu. She cut the tofu and seasoned it and cut it in squares. And we have a hot air fryer. So she fried it in the hot air fryer, flavored it up real nice with a little sauce or something on that she mixed up. And so it was just basically, a little veggie spread, Add a couple of pickles on the sides, kind of throw a little sweet, savory to it, We do a lot of sushi. She'll make a vegan sushi. She mastered the sushi down, so she'll make the sushi, and sometimes she will use Beyond Meat burger.
I was ready to say, how do you make sushi vegan?
Oh yeah, well she likes the cucumber rolls, and she'll do stuff like that with hers. And she gets real creative with some of the stuff she puts in hers. Mine is mainly strictly, I do a cucumber roll. She does avocado roll. I don't do avocados, but she'll do avocado roll. But she also does Beyond Burger. She'll cook the Beyond Burger. Maybe sometimes put like a teriyaki or something on the burger, flavor it up. Then she will slice the burger and roll it into the sushi roll. Slice the roll so it's kind of like a steak roll, as she calls it. We also have a vegan fish that we get, vegan fish. That she'll sometimes put in. Sometimes it's shrimp, and sometimes it's one of the fish patties type of deals where she'll cook it and then she'll slice it. She'll slice it in strips and put it in the roll it up, and then slice the rolls. Tofu, she'll do the tofu. We've been doing quite a bit of tofu, and yeah, it's actually pretty good, man. You got to check out her website, her Instagram, Dylan's Vegan Kitchen on Instagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah, go check out and follow that page too, Dylan's Vegan Kitchen. And she's throwing stuff on, like some recipes and some photos of what we make. And then people are like, want to know what it is or how she did it, and then she'll tell them it's it's all good stuff.
Okay. Dylan's Vegan Kitchen.
Yeah, and if we do takeaway, then we'll do anything from Chinese to Vietnamese to Indian. Depends on what we're in the mood for that evening. If we do takeaway, found a lot of good vegan restaurants here that are really good vegan options. Yesterday for lunch we had that Chipotle.
Oh no.
Chipotle. Yeah, so we kind of mix it up, man, and there's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, talk about, it's probably the best time in history to be a vegan because of the options. What they can do with technology now.
Oh, for sure, man.
Do you find that you have to eat more?
Yeah, but that's not a bad thing because I think it's better. I had a friend who was a professional bodybuilder, and he was sponsored by Champion Nutrition. He used to work there as a consultant. And he was actually sponsored by them. And I was talking to him many years ago because I wanted to maintain weight. I wanted to lose and maintain weight, get to a good playing weight and then just keep it there. And he said the idea is to eat 5 times a day, 5 small meals a day, better than eating 2 or 3. He said some people, when they want to lose weight, they think that they're doing their body good by eating 1 time a day. And or 2 times a day. He said that's the worst. He says eat 5 times a day. And I said that doesn't make any sense. And he said, well, it makes all the sense because when when you start eating small meal and breakfast, eat something between breakfast and lunch, a lot of snack or whatever, then at lunch, then another something between the dinner. And he said your body never thinks it's starving because you can basically stimulate the metabolism, for lack of a better word. He explained it scientifically so much better than I could, but it made sense and I did it and it worked. So I found that eating 5 times a day, small meals, your body's never really starving. Yeah. So where your body kicks into its resources, starts burning resources that aren't there because you're constantly keeping a little fuel in it to go through the day. And I find that usually works better for me too. And I need to do that more often. But sometimes I'm eating, 3 times a day, 2 times a day, just getting so busy doing stuff. And then you end up eating a lunch, dinner right in between. You miss lunch. And so you eat a late lunch, early dinner. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's 2 philosophies on that. And I feel like that's perfectly right about eating many meals because like you're saying, it kickstarts the metabolism, but it also keeps your body from building up fat because I feel the body builds fat based on, like you're saying, it's starving. So that is built to be able to, sustain itself when it feels like it's starving. So if you're constantly eating, you're able to keep it from doing that.
Right.
Other thing that I found is working really well that I try to adhere to more and more now, especially with this pandemic. But I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called why am I blanking right now? You go 16 hours or more, or 12 to 16 hours of not eating, and then in that
intermittent fasting.
Intermediate fasting, yes, thank you.
Yeah, I've heard people doing that, and I've kind of done it by accident before. Just time running. You're not feeling hungry, or you're working, doing stuff, and next thing you know, it's like, oh man, I see why my stomach is roaring right now. It gets beyond growling and it starts roaring. It's like, why is my stomach doing that? It's like, oh, well, I haven't eaten anything all day, And so sometimes I've done that, not by design, not on purpose. But a lot of people, I guess it's a theory that people are doing, philosophy or something that people are doing.
Well, it's the same thing. It kickstarts your metabolism. The key, though, like you're saying, is that you got to eat well in that small time period that you are eating, like in 8 hours. You have to eat a lot. If you don't, then you're back to square one. You're just starving yourself.
Yeah. So, and green juicing too is a good way because we used to juice a lot.
Do a lot of juicing?
Yeah, we used to, and we haven't done it in a while. But I think that's something I'm gonna get back into. It was a time huh?
Now, do you do the full juicing or do you put it in a blender?
We've done both. So I have a juicer that we put in the juice and just basically extracted the juice. And sucked the pulp in the bag and extracted the juice out. We're drinking that. That made me feel really good. That's super, super good. I like that. But then my wife was thinking that the roughage, the pulp that we were normally throwing away, well, we can actually use it to cook and do other stuff. Depends on what the pulp is. You can kind of reuse it, repurpose it, if you will. Especially if you're doing like a pineapple or, I don't know, just some of the fruit that can be actually put into a pie or some type of whatever. So we've actually experimented with that. But she started blending it in the blender because it has everything in there and it doesn't extract out the roughage. You're getting all the vitamins and everything in them. So she likes to blend.
That's what I like doing too. Same reason, I don't like wasting anything. So.
Yeah. But we did a couple of weeks where we just went straight on juice and then we'd have 1 or 2 meals, but we juice it a couple times a day.
Yeah.
And, that was a big change. I need to do that again. I haven't done that in a couple of years.
Like a detox, right?
Yeah, exactly. Throw a little protein powder in there, mix it up, get the extra protein. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, yeah, it's awesome that that's made such an improvement in your life. You know, like I didn't realize that you had that almost heart failure. That's
Well, it was definitely was congestive heart failure, and now I feel better now. I mean, I'm definitely better, but can't take it for granted. You know, I'm not going to just start going back eating sloppy and stuff like that again, and just being abusive. I'm just going to continue to monitor it. You know, like I said, I don't really foresee me going back to eating meats or anything again at this point. It's been 5 years, and it's like I can survive without eating meat.
Yeah.
The stuff that they're putting in a lot of our food sources, especially the meat and everything like that, that now just makes it, you want to know what you're eating and know what's in it.
Especially like the red meat, the cow products, just the factory farming's business, man. I feel like if people were more aware of how their meat is being, the whole process behind it, I feel like people would be a lot more uncomfortable eating as much.
You would think.
Burgers.
Man, I was in Oakland a few months ago, down by Jack London Square. You know, when they have the I guess the warehouses or factories or whatever, the meat markets and all types of stuff. It's like near Chinatown, and man, I saw them taking the carcass of pigs. They were like tossing them from the truck, tossing them into this like a cart, like a buggy, like a supermarket cart, to take them inside. The truck door was open. Inside was a whole bunch of like pig carcass that had been, looked like they'd been cleaned, and they were open, and they were getting ready to take them in. I guess people were, I don't know what they were doing, but the truck door was open. And I'm thinking, man, how many flies are flying around up in there? And the way they would just toss it in on this cart, just like sitting there, waiting for somebody to come and push the cart in. I was like, man, that's going to be on somebody's plate real soon. And I had a disgusting feeling, man, just like looking at it, and I was like, I know if somebody was to see that, they'll probably be like, oh, hell no. I don't think I'll be
No, for sure. Well, Shu, I guess the last thing I want to ask you about is I kind of was noticing on your Facebook you posted I don't know how long ago, but you were talking about Long Way Home being your first voiceover.
Yeah.
That you did. I didn't even know you had a voiceover career. Talk about that.
Oh man, yeah. So Long Way Home, man, that was a cool spot. And I got hired from Goodby Silverstein and Partner, ad agency in San Francisco. Very big, very good ad agency, and been able to call Mr. Goodby a friend of mine since then, and they do amazing work. So they hired me to come in to do this voiceover. But prior to that, I was doing some commercials that were on KMEL, and it was commercials for local businesses and stuff. And people were calling in to the radio station requesting commercials. As funny as that, I never heard anybody call in to request to play my songs on that radio station, but I heard them call in to request to play different commercials that I had done. One was the Double Rainbow commercial, which
really?
Yeah, it was very successful for that company. And so they would call me to do these commercials. And I don't know how Mr. Goodby, how they found my name somewhere to come in and read for Partnership for Drug-Free America. And so I went in and did this commercial. And they were saying, wow, this guy's got a great voice. And I was easy to work with. And it was my first time actually like doing a real VO voiceover. And that commercial won, I think, 6 or 7 Clio Awards for the agency. The Cleopatra Awards are kind of like an Emmy or a Grammy. You get the Grammys for the music and the Emmys for the actors, but for the advertisement industry, It's called the Cleopatra Award, and it's a kind of a big deal, I guess, to if you're an agent or you work on you have a project that wins Cleos, and that one won 7 for the agency.
Wow.
And Partnership for Drug Free America said that was their best campaign to date. That one was their most successful campaign. And it was cool, and I was happy to be a part of that. Well, that opened the door because about a year later, they called me and they go, yeah, this is we're from Goodby Silverstein and Partners, and you did a commercial for us last year, Partnership for Drug Free America. And I said yes, and they go, want to know if you would be able to do a commercial for Sega. So I did was supposed to be a voiceover for Sega. So I did the voiceover. They took it into Sega. They wanted to add some stuff to it, and they says, "Who's this guy?" And he says, "Well, this guy's a rap artist, and he's a good guy, and he's a big guy." And I don't know, somehow they talked Sega into what was supposed to be a voiceover. I ended up being on camera. So I did quite a few Sega commercials in the early 90s.
Remember those?
You remember those?
Yeah, I do.
So I did those commercials for him. The same agency had the Golden State Warriors as their client. And so they did, this is when they had Tim Hardaway and
Chris Mullen and
Run. Yeah. So the song was called "Don't Stop the Noise," and they play it before all their games and stuff. And the local sports radio was playing it and everything. And so we performed that. Actually, it was on ESPN and something else. I performed it on the court. I had this band and introduced the players as they ran out of the tunnel. When I mentioned their name,
hey.
they ran out. So it was kind of a big deal for me. It was cool, you know. That was my first time doing like a sports related rap thing that, you know, was kind of cool. And then we go to the games and they flash on the Jumbotron, "Don't Stop the Noise," and then the beat would come in and everybody was just going crazy. And I was like, damn, that's pretty crazy, you know, that I did the little Warriors theme song that they ran for a few years.
That's awesome.
And, yeah, I did quite a few voiceover work from that over the years. I did some for NBA. I did a couple actually for Nike ID or Nike.com or something like that. It was online. Did quite a few, man, and trying to get back into it. Doing voiceover, it's actually pretty fun, and you know, it's nice work. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool. You did the Warriors. That definitely is something to hold on.
I did a rap on the Raiders.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 seasons ago. I did a rap on that. It's called Raider Nation. There's a couple of Raider Nation songs on YouTube, but this one was EQ. It's a guy named EQ, a friend of mine. He's a bass player, and he sings, and he actually sings on it. He's playing bass. He actually produced the whole thing, and they asked me to do a rap on there, so I did a rap on it that they used for some later. Yeah, so kind of doing that, man. You know, be glad to get back into doing that as a side from what I'm doing musically and stuff.
I know. So what do
I'm trying to brush my chops off on dance music. I've been listening to some dance music stuff and liking that vibe. So I think I'm going to produce a couple more dance tracks and, you know, probably venture and look into some techno or EDM. But I think my stuff is more, I've had like 6 people, random people that I played some stuff for. And they said, oh, it kind of reminds me of Daft Punk. There's a group called Daft Punk or something like that. And I was like, okay, Google them up. And I knew some of the stuff. I just didn't know who the song was by. I was like, oh, okay, I know who this group is. And I listened to it, and I was like, oh, I see why they say it, because it's funky. Some of it's funky, and it's got like all these little techno sounds going on with it. So I kind of like that vibe. So I think I'm gonna probably play around with some more stuff like that.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. You're innovating and you're trying new things with it.
Yeah, got to put on different hats, man, from time to time.
I want to ask you if you had any advice for, because I know a lot of musicians now that are, you know, they're in that part of their career where it's like, do I need to go and get a day job, or do I need to keep trying to pursue this path? based on your experience, I know you had to step away for a while, but what advice would you have for up and coming musicians, and what things should they be looking at?
One thing I would tell them, man, is to be persistent, and be consistent. That means continue to move forward and persist through everything, but also be consistent and continue doing. Just do it again. Keep doing it. Do something else. Put out a song, create a song, create another one, put it out. Just be persistent, be consistent, and do what you love what you do. I mean, those pretty generic, seems like pretty generic ideas, but they're simple ideas. And I think they're easy to grasp. I mean, there is no magic formula that I know of. I haven't been able to find it yet, other than persistency, consistency, and just being prepared for that moment. Just kind of always put yourself out there or put yourself in a position, because you never know when that break will come, and it can change your life like almost overnight. So just be ready. Be ready so you don't have to get ready. You know what I mean? So it's just be hungry,
I think that's important about being ready and having that right mindset. Like, how many opportunities do we miss based on our mindset not being right?
Yeah, not being prepared or being afraid, because there is a phobia, fear of success, and a lot of times people are afraid, thinking what somebody else is going to think or say. If they put themselves, because you are putting yourself out there. You're exposing yourself for all types of ridicule, criticism, haterism, trolls, the whole thing. And you just gotta adapt the mindset to say, none of that matters. Who cares what the next person's gonna think? I'm just gonna do me. I'm gonna do this. Feels good to me. I'm gonna do this. I think it's the right thing to do. And sure, you're gonna get some people that disagree, or some people that won't like it, but then there's gonna be the ones that do. And you don't want to deprive the ones who do support you simply because you're worried about the ones that won't support you, but they won't support you anyway. So why even worry about those guys? Put yourself out there, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the way I approach it is, hey, my stuff might not be for everybody. I'm gonna be honest with you, and that's what I tell people. Hey, depends on what kind of music you're into, and you might not like my music, but it's easy to listen to, and hopefully you like it. But if you don't, I'll understand, and just be, don't take it personal, and just be humble,
That's great. That's great advice.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
The last thing I do, before I forget, I've always been curious. Where did the name come from?
That's the $1 million question. That is the $1 million question. Everybody seems to want to know that now. Okay. So when I was born, the doctor said, "Ma'am, this is one cool baby. You should name him Chill." Nah, that's the embellished story.
Oh, no.
It sounded good though, didn't it?
I was like, yeah, that sounded good.
So here's the deal, man. When I first started performing, I couldn't think of a name that fit me. The names that I came up with, way corny, way cheesy, and I was like, that's not me, so I can't really use that name. And so I was like, oh, my last name starts with a B.
Okay.
Chilly B. Very simple. Chilly B. Chilly. Chilly B. Kind of cool, kind of chilly, kind of a cool guy. That's what I'm thinking in my own mind. So right. Chilly B. But then there were so many Chilly D's, Chilly C's, there was other Chilly B's, that was a problem. I actually did a show. Now, there was a Chilly B from Nucleus. And so when I started using Chilly B, I already knew this could lead to a problem, because this group called Nucleus had a couple of big records out. And that one of the rappers' name was Chilly B. And I knew that. I just loved that song. So I'm saying, well, that name is not really as original as I would like for it to be, although I have a right to use it because my last name is B. But then I did a show here in Northern California with a guy named Chilly B who spelt it the same way. And we both were on the flyer. And I was like,
Oh, really?
yeah, this got to end right here. So I have to change my name from Chili B to something else. And then one day I woke up from a complete sleep, and I sat up in bed and I said, I think I got it. So I wrote the word chill. Then I wrote the initial E.D. Chill EB. That's it, because that's a unique spelling. Nobody in music has ever used this word, this name, and they're not using this name. So this is going to be who I am, Chill EB. So that was what I started with. But it originally started from Chili B, Chilly, the letter B, to Chili B, chill with the initial E.D. So then that leads people to say, well, your name is Eric. Oh, what's your real name? Eddie? Oh, your real name is this. And it's like, nah. It has nothing to do with anything. So now, the funny story is, after I did this was like 1980, because when I opened for Egyptian Lover and when we opened for Dr. Dre, I was spelling it Chilly, Chilly, and my group was called Chili B and the Posse. And it was spelled Chili B and the Posse. But right after that, I changed it. And so it's funny is because there's a poster still floating around with that on there. I think I put it on Facebook. It was like, I remember this show when I was in high school, blah, blah, blah. They put it on. That was the old spelling of the name. So
find that poster.
Yeah, it's probably on my page. Somebody tagged me on it, put it on my page. They tagged me on it. So I don't know how you can find it. Probably go on my page and look at my photos. You'll probably see it in there. But it was cool. And so I'm doing an interview. Fast forward a couple years, I'm doing an interview for the Contra Costa Times. And the lady that was interviewing us, she followed us. She went to the studio. She met us at the studio. She watched our process of like creating and laying the tracks and what we do in the studio. She kind of went with us throughout the whole day. It was like for a couple hours, like 3 or 4 hours, you know. And she's asking me all these questions and stuff. It was a nice story. It was in the center spread of Contra Costa Times in the Time Out magazine. So she does what you did. Right before she ends, she goes, oh, I have to ask you this. One more question. She goes, what does the EB stand for? And I don't know why I said it, but I must have felt something. So I said, the EB stands for earning an honest buck. And she was like, oh, earning an honest buck. Okay, that's good. Chili B's, working with the kids, blah, blah, blah. His name stands for earning an honest buck. And so she prints it. And then I was like, oh, I don't know why I thought of that, but that's kind of like what I hope to do and intend to do is earn an honest buck. And it worked. So then I wrote a song where in the lyric I say, the party is packed, so let's go inside and slide to a stupid packed dance floor. Let me tell you what Chili B stands for, chill, because that's how I live my life. Earn an honest buck, no guns, no knives. And that's just going on. And people just ran with that. So that's what it stands for, earning an honest buck, or whatever you want it to stand for.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I like how it evolved for you.
Yeah, it did. It started from, what it started from and what it ended up to be is two different things. And I like it much better what it is now, because I tell people there's probably thousands of Chili B's, but there's only one Chili B.
Yeah.
So that's how I can set myself from the other guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's been a journey, brother. It's been a journey.
Well, it's been awesome knowing you. Like I said, you're one of my earliest mentors. I've always respected you. I'm glad I've stayed in touch with you over the years.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it too, man. I'm glad you stayed in touch.
Yeah, and let's definitely do this again. Like,
yeah.
If you're down to come back on, I definitely have a lot more to talk to you about. But
okay, I would love to. I'll be honored to, man. Anything, anytime. Let me know.
Absolutely. Well, this is our Memorial Day. This will probably be posted tomorrow, so this will be our Memorial Day episode. So I know your family's from the Army, and you served in the Army too, correct?
Yes, sir.
So thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Appreciate you as a human being. Thank you for always being around for the youth and everything that you've done. I look up to it. I hope that I can do the same thing with my art and be as influential as you have been.
Thank you, sir. You definitely will. You're doing it right now. You're doing it now, and just keep up the good work. Keep up the good work, man. The world needs as much help as we can to make this world a better place, to heal this planet. We need it now more than ever before. So we all do our part. We'll all make through this together, man. That's what it's about.
Absolutely.
Right on, brother.
Well, thank you for coming on. This has been another episode of the Sessions.
Right on, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
How do people find you if they want to get in touch or look you up?
You can find me on Instagram at chill_EB. Find me on Facebook, at Real Chili Bee at Facebook. Let's see. I'm on Twitter, chill_EB. You can find me on YouTube, Chili Bee, ChILLEB, YouTube.com.
Yeah, check out his YouTube. You got some good music videos. I was tripping out on Menace to Society.
Yeah.
Old school 90s.
Yeah.
Like those music videos are nostalgic for me. So.
Yeah, man, and for me too, for sure. That was a good time, and but yeah, we'll get together again soon, man. And I got more stuff that I'm working on that I'll definitely be posting on there real soon.
All right, looking forward to it.
All right, brother.
All right, good talking with you.
Right on, man. Likewise. Take care. Have a good evening. Happy Memorial Day out there to everybody. Be safe.
Right on. All right, well, take care, everybody.
All right, man. Peace.